Welcome back to Weems Motor Co. We finally made a decision. Stick around and find out what it is. Alright, so on our last episode, we were working on this old rigid Triumph frame, getting things back and right and tight the way they should be. Everything came out great on that. Matter of fact, here is the frame in question. Now, we've made a decision what to do with this. I went ahead, did the research, and discovered that this is a 1954 Triumph, either a 5T Speed Twin or a 6T Thunderbird frame. Now, that's precious because that is the last year for the Triumph factory rigid frames. 1954, they transitioned half of the motorcycles being released with a swing arm and kept the Thunderbird and the Speed Twins in the rigid frame configuration. So this is pretty cool. Last year for the rigid frame. And we decided that we're gonna do something really cool with this based on the video that came out before the last video. So if you're not following along with our series, catching every video, you might not have those notifications turned on, or you might not be following us or subscribed to the channel. So go ahead, take a moment right now while we're gonna talk about what we're gonna do with this. Turn those notifications on and subscribe to the channel. Now let's talk about what we're gonna do with this frame. In a few episodes back, we were beginning to build a show bike, and we decided to head over to our storage unit to source an engine for said bike. During that, we grabbed this thing, but we also let you guys kind of see the storage unit and all of the treasures that are there. So I came up with the idea in the last video is to take and build this bike using stuff that we had at the storage unit. Back in 2020, when the world was in the coronavirus COVID pandemic, we built our bike called the Rainmaker. And when we built that bike, we said we're gonna treat it just like it's the apocalypse. Like, there is no sourcing of parts, you have to use everything you have. That's what we're gonna do with this bike. We are gonna use only the parts we have on hand. Now that means we are not gonna send anything out for machine work. We are not gonna go on the internet and buy a spark plug. We are going to use only things that we have on hand, whether right in the shop, on the back porch, or over at the storage unit. So we need to source all of the things to turn this frame into a full, complete motorcycle. Here we are on the back porch. Why we're on the back porch? Well, you've seen the shop and you've seen the storage unit. So now you're gonna see the back porch where we have even more old Triumph projects and parts just kind of stuck there as we need to grab them and pull them in. But we've got things like a Triumph Cub, a 1960s sidecar, a bunch of frames, another factory rigid Triumph frame, roller chassis, and then over here behind this we have a whole nother pre-unit Triumph numbers matching. We got a lot of stuff, and it just so happens in this pile of stuff, this frame that's down here, I have a 1960 Bonneville bottom end engine that we can pull out. And the plan is to take those engine cases, go ahead and split them open, clean everything up nice and neat. Remember, not buying parts, only using parts that we have laying around. So we'll have a nice bottom end, at least the cases, and then we're gonna run over to the storage unit. And when we're at the storage unit, you've seen a complete rolling chassis for a unit construction motor. Not sure what year that is. I think it's a 1971. It had some bad serial numbers stamped into it. Somebody at some point changed the numbers maybe to match a frame or to match a title, whatever they did, but not conducive. We don't, have any use for those cases. So we could take the crankshaft out of that and actually the whole top end, the cylinders, the head, all of that stuff, and apply it onto that 1960 set of cases. Fingers crossed, if I remember when I bought that engine, that it wasn't locked up. So maybe we can get away with just honing the cylinders. I might have a set of pistons and some rings laying around that we maybe could throw in there, but not sending it out for machine shop, so we'll make it work. I'm pretty sure that I got enough stuff laying around that I can make a motorcycle run. Now, it's not gonna be a brand new, it's not gonna be, this isn't a customer's bike, this is gonna be something for me, because we have a motorcycle that you've seen on the channel that we're gonna talk about right now. So over the last year, we restored this motorcycle that was really cool, had a lot of history, and it was a custom built back in the early 60s by a really important gentleman. That motorcycle, we titled it the Judge. Now, the Judge is a really cool bike, and I love it, and I ride it a lot. However, I don't want to change anything on that motorcycle. I don't want to customize it or do anything, because it's exactly the way it was when Robert Young, the Judge, built that bike. So I don't want to change anything. I don't even want to adjust the handlebars. What I can do is build another motorcycle that I can change and do things and make it all however I want. And I was thinking through that process. I was like, I got so many pieces and parts, I can put it together on this motorcycle that we're gonna do. And my idea was like, well, I always like to name my motorcycles. So we have the Judge, and this would be the next portion of that story, being a factory Triumph Rigid, is that we can call this bike the Jury. Why would we call it the Jury? Because a few weeks ago, I got a jury summons. I had to go down to downtown Tampa, appear before a judge and a bunch of lawyers and see if I was the right fit for the case. I wasn't selected, whatever, I'm not worried about that. But that gave me an idea of like, all right, well, what is a jury? A jury is a group of people from different backgrounds, all around the same age and demographics and stuff, to help make a decision on somebody that's convicted of a crime. So a jury is a mix mosh of a bunch of different things and a bunch of different people, and that's what I was like, all right, we have the Judge, now we're gonna build the Jury. I'm gonna take a bunch of pieces and parts that I have laying around, put them together on that. But before we can do that, we have one last thing to fix on that frame, and that's what we're gonna knock out first before we go grab that engine off the back porch and go to the storage unit and grab that whole other motorcycle. So let's go talk about this frame. All right, so in the last video, you've seen us fixing the rear portion of this frame. We got that tubes all fixed up nice and clean, but I did mention up here on the very front section of the frame that it looked like somebody had welded on some sort of aftermarket kickstand lug possibly, which made no sense because there's already a kickstand lug back here. Who knows, maybe they were mounting some exhaust or something, I have no clue. Anyways, it's ugly as sin, and we need to cut that off, clean it up, so that we can have a nice smooth surface so it doesn't look stupid. That's basically it. So we're gonna chop this crap off of here, clean it up, and then go grab those engines and get to work mocking this bike up. So let's get this cleaned up. Those boogered up welds gone, and you know, that was actually really easy to knock that piece off. I mean, it just flung right off with a hammer. So if you were to put a kickstand on that, I'm not sure how long it would have lasted. Now, obviously it's not clean and perfect, and that's not the idea for this motorcycle. The idea for this is to use stuff we have laying around, like we said, So that old patina, that old stuff, it doesn't bother me. We'll shoot it with a little bit of rattle can, obviously, to cover up the raw material so it doesn't rust in those areas. But I think it's time to head to the back porch, grab that 1960 Triumph Bonneville engine out of that frame, and let's discover what we have going on with that. Let's go grab it. If you're looking for a 1960 through 1962 Triumph duplex chopper frame, jump down in the comments, hit me up. We'll see if we can work out a deal, get this into the right hands. But let's grab up this engine and the gearbox that we just so happen to find in the frame, get it into the shop, and see what we got. Ladies and gentlemen, so what we have is a 1960 Triumph Bonneville T120 pre-unit, which was the first year for the duplex frame, which has two front down tubes. But what's nice is that this engine is not locked up. The crank spins freely, and so that's good news. It's not got any catastrophic damage in the bottom end. And then this gearbox, we realized after we pulled it out, this came from the bike that we titled Rusty. That was the donor project for our Born Free build back at Born Free 13, that gray drag bike that was super cool. So that is the gearbox from that. Now, not sure what the conditions are. If it's anything like the engine was, it's probably not gonna be able to be used as far as the internals. We definitely can't use the externals because this is for a swing arm Triumph, which would be that 1954 being the first year on certain models, all the way through 1962. That's what that housing is used for, but we have a few of the Triumph rigid gearbox housings kicking around that will work for this frame. Now, we're gonna run over to the storage unit. We're gonna scoop up that unit chopper that we have over there, grab a couple other little pieces and parts that we feel may work for this, maybe some exhaust, engine plates, things like that, oil tank, things that we may need for this project. So, run over to the storage unit, grab that stuff up, and get it back here to the shop so that we can get this thing into a mock-up. Let's keep going. Here we are next day, heading over to the storage unit, gonna grab up that donor bike with that unit construction engine in it, dig through some boxes, see if we can find some other parts we may or may not need, triple trees, maybe motor plates and stuff like that, foot pegs, stuff, all that stuff. So run over here really quick, dig through some boxes, see what we can grab up, get this stuff back to the shop, and see what we have to get this thing all together. Let's make it happen. Got it all. All right, folks, there you have it. A nice collection of parts from the storage unit. Everything we need to be able to hopefully get a nice little rigid pre-unit together. We got wheels, front ends, parts, fenders, tank, handlebars, all kinds of options. But the main thing is we got a donor engine that we can do. So now that we got it up on the lift, let's find out if this thing's locked up or not. Nice! She kicks through. That means that bottom end is loose. There's no catastrophic damage inside there. We have something we can use. Man, super stoked about it. That is gonna wrap up our video today. Make sure that you guys have turned those notifications on and you're getting all the updates, because we got a lot of cool things going on here. We got that other show bike. We now have the jury. We have the judge that we ride quite often, and we have a few events that are gonna be coming up pretty soon. So make sure you're staying on top of all of that stuff. Follow us over on Instagram. All of those things. Head to Weems Motor Co. Buy some shirts, hats, stickers, all kinds of cool swag, motorcycle parts. Cool stuff over there. But we're gonna wrap it up today. If you are new around here, jump down and hit that subscribe button. If you really like the video, hit that thumbs up, turn those notifications on, and let everyone know what's going on right here at Weems Motor Co. Peace.